Good morning, everyone. I do see we have enough members on screen for quorum. So it is 9:30, so we will get underway. I do believe that Councillor Brockington had sent his regrets for today's meeting. So this is did I make a joke last meeting about it being Agenda 21? I always try to do that. I always try to make a little Agenda 21 joke. Anyways, if I missed that, that's on me. I only get a couple chances a term to be able to do that. But Agenda 22 is before us on March 22 of 2022. So welcome. Any declarations of interest? None? You know, a leaf blower that you're like, I better not vote on this because I own a leaf. No, you're good. Okay. Moving on, confirmation of minutes for our meeting of...
The leaf blower lobby.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for them, that leaf blower lobby. Sucking blowing is what they're doing. Tuesday, September 6th, 2021.
Chair, did you want me to do roll call?
Wow. Sure, let's just confirm the minutes first, because I know they're here. I can see them all, but let's just do the minutes. Are we good on the minutes? Great, thank you. So go ahead.
Councillor Cloutier.
Present.
Councillor DeRoos.
I'm here.
Councillor Egli.
Here.
I can see you, Councillor Hubley. Councillor Hubley.
Here.
Councillor King.
Here.
Councillor McKinney.
Present.
And Vice Chairman Art.
Here.
You have quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I see Councillor Hubley is joining us from the beautiful outdoors and yoga session. I appreciate you taking some time away from yoga to sit in with us. Or is that
That's me in the background, Councillor Moffat, doing our yoga in the park.
I like it. I like it, Alan. Okay, so before I get in, I just wanted to highlight that today, March 22nd, 2022, is World Water Day. You will have all received information from Maryland Journal about World Water Day. It's the International Day of Recognition that was established to raise awareness about access to clean water and good sanitation practices. You know, you talk about freedom. You know, if you're running for the leadership of the Conservative Party and you're talking about freedom, and maybe you should be talking about clean water for communities that don't have clean water. That would be a good campaign strategy for someone running for the leadership of a federal party that wants to be prime minister, rather than what my MP is doing. Anyway, so there's some good information there about drinking water. You know, just what the city does. We all know that the city of Ottawa has phenomenal drinking water. We promote that every year. We get reports on that at this committee every year. So happy World Water Day to all of you on council and to everyone, all the 16 people watching on YouTube. That's a rough estimate. So moving on, communications, there is none. Response to inquiries, we have 2 responses to inquiries on our agenda here today. Tree removal notifications and invasive species removal in public green spaces. You know, I know we have a motion on that. So I think Councillor Cloutier wanted to bring forward the invasive species item to a future agenda. So I'll just ask you to bring that forward right now.
Myself, Chair?
Yeah.
My notice of motion?
Yeah, well, just go ahead and read it now, just because it's in relation to this notice, this inquiry.
Very well. Sorry, I did not have it up. Thank you, and thank you, Christopher. Whereas a variety of invasive species are currently present in Ottawa, in Ottawa, and due to their aggressive nature can reduce the usability of outdoor spaces, impact components of Ottawa's ecosystem. Whereas invasive species management represents a financial cost to municipalities in addition to the ecological and recreational impact. Whereas the Public Works Department manages invasive species programs for the wild parsnip plant and the emerald ash borer beetle to help limit their spread, and those programs are currently managed within existing staff resources. Whereas there are additional invasive species present in Ottawa, and community volunteers, if provided the training and tools needed to properly manage invasive species, can play a role in managing invasive species in their communities. Whereas community volunteers can identify invasive species more quickly in their own community, and early detection and monitoring of invasive species growth supports better long-term control. Thank you, Christopher. Whereas a volunteer-based program to address invasive species locally would require Public Works to develop and implement a comprehensive stewardship program, including training and best practices for the removal, disposal, and site restoration for the wide variety of invasive species in Ottawa. Development and implementation of a process for approval and monitoring require an FTE to manage the overall program. Therefore, be it resolved that as part of the 2023 budget process, Public Works consider the requirement for one full-time equivalent, an FTE position, for the management of an invasive species stewardship program, and therefore be it further resolved that Public Works coordinate development of the invasive species volunteer program with legal services, Ottawa Public Health, planning, real estate, and economic development, to ensure all necessary legal, health, and safety and natural environment considerations are included in the program. Thank you, Chair. That is a notice of motion for discussion at a future.
Yeah, so that'll ensure that the invasive species item appears on our agenda at the next meeting in April. So thank you for that, Councillor Cloutier. And then we'll be able to have delegations on that and ask questions to staff and any motions that might come forward on that. But of course, the notice of motion does include a request for staff. This is a very similar process to what we did back when we started the wild parsnip management program back in my first term. So on to the agenda. Councillor King had his hand up. Was that with regard to the inquiry?
It was, but I'm very pleased with the motion that Councillor Cloutier has introduced. We do have a rich number of a wide number of volunteers in my ward who really look after city-owned property in terms of invasive species. And I wanted to make a comment, but this is an excellent motion, and I look forward to further deliberation on it at our next meeting.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Councillor King. All right, so on to our agenda. So we have item 1, which is a referral from council back in October. We'll deal with that because I've asked for a presentation just to give an update on where things stand there. Item 2 is the Community Energy Innovation Fund, which has a summary report. I believe we're doing a brief update on that one too. Rain Ready Ottawa is item 3, also an update. Item number 4 is a status update standing committee on environmental protection, water and waste management, inquiries and motions for the period ending March 11th, 2022. Can we receive the status update?
Received.
Thank you. And then what I'm going to do right now, essentially adding an item 5. There's a matter. I spoke about this with Councillor Dean's office quite a while ago, but we haven't had any meetings. So we have a motion that's going to be moved by me, but it is really from Councillor Dean's. But since Councillor Dean's is not on this committee, I've agreed to move it. But I will ask Councillor Dean's just to speak to it. It's something that I think a resident reached out on. We're trying to work on some funding piece, but it involves a grant request from FCM. So Councillor Dean's, I'll let you speak to that and introduce the motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Moffat. Does everyone have a copy of it, or should I read it? I'll read it.
Councillor, we can screen share it as well.
Okay, perfect. Great. So whereas the National Children's Botanical Garden of Canada is a registered charity seeking to construct a year-round education and activity hub providing programming for children, youth, families, and adults focused on improving the health of communities and the planet and engaging residents on issues like climate change, food security, and environmental sustainability. And whereas this proposed project would have important social and environmental benefits, including the creation of a community gathering space, connecting people people through food, enhancing food literacy, and promoting sustainability practices. And whereas the facility being proposed would also be certified to a high level, aiming to produce more energy than they consume and offset carbon emissions. And whereas sorry, I lost my place. And whereas the proposed project aligns with City of Ottawa plans to build a greener, more inclusive and healthier city, including the City of Ottawa's climate change master plan and new official plan. And whereas the NCBG is seeking to lease National Capital Commission land at 3798 Bank Street to construct the proposed project. And whereas a professionally consulted viability study is an NCC lease condition. And whereas the NCBG is seeking financial assistance from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Green Municipal Fund for the cost of the viability study, estimated at $60,000. And whereas an endorsement from City Council is required in order for the NCBG to be eligible for funding from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Green Municipal Fund. Therefore, be it resolved that the Standing Committee on Environmental Protection, Water and Wastewater Management recommend that Council approve that the Mayor write a letter of support for the National Children's Botanical Garden project on behalf of the City of Ottawa, the City Council. And I think the motion really speaks for itself. It's just an opportunity. They need some seed funding to meet the NCC requirements. So we're just asking, really, it's just a letter of support that we're asking for at this point.
Thank you. So yeah, it's a requirement of the program. So that's why we would be here to endorse that, or have council endorse that with a letter from the mayor. There is a piece where we're working on. We've identified the opportunity for $6,000 from the city to be able to go with this, which is 10% of the request. Of course, the balance would come from the FCM grant, should they be awarded that. So that's really it. So thank you, Councillor Deans. I don't know if anyone has any questions on that. I figured we could deal with that off the top here. Any questions? Seeing none, can we carry that motion?
Carried.
Carried.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. So let's get back to it. We'll go back to item 1, which was
Chair, just a note on the agenda, there is item 5, a motion by Councillor King, phasing out.
Oh, yeah, right.
I don't think you.
No, it's funny. It was sorry. It was the way that the agenda was structured. It was it's stuck down below. It's stuck down below the information previously distributed. Sorry about that. So we'll go. So item 5 too, but we'll just hold that item, because I imagine we'll let Councillor King speak to that. So we'll just go back to the top. Yeah, sorry, the way that the agenda is structured in front of me, it goes 4, then it goes in camera items, and then 5 is down below that, so I missed it. Thank you, Jean. Okay, so item 1 was that referral from our official plan discussion, where Councillor Lieber on behalf of Councillor Fleury brought forward a motion that asked 2 things specifically. The motion was referred to this committee for our consideration to direct staff to study and develop additional mitigation measures which offer incentives for new and existing buildings. And the second portion was that the mitigation measures incentives study be A, aligned with the community improvement plan review, expect to be considered by council in 2023, and B, aligned with the high performance development standards to help alleviate costs which occur while achieving net zero climate change focused buildings. So this is obviously, as we all know, the high performance development standard is currently working its way through committee and council. So what I've asked staff to do today, it's an item that we can receive. We can receive this referral. There isn't necessarily an action item here. So what I've asked staff to do is provide us an update on these matters. What's to be considered? How does it fit in? We know that there's the request from the motion speaks to additional mitigation measures, additional incentives to be able to manage these issues. That's what the discussion stemmed from. I think we had the discussion again at council when we were debating the budget in December. So just asking staff here just for an update with regard to this motion and how it plays into both the high performance development standards and the community improvement plan review, which is to be coming in 2023. I think we have Becca Hagan is going to be providing this update for us.
Yeah, that's right. And we have just a brief presentation to kind of run through to give a bit of an overview of where things are. Give it a second. All right, next slide. So there have been a few projects in place to advance incentives for buildings at the city. First off, Energy Evolution included the creation of the Energy Community Improvement Plan as one of its 20 priority projects. Earlier this term, we had the Better Homes Loan Program approved in July 2021, launched in November 2021, and is expected to return to council in April of 2023. The High Performance Development Standard is going to council on April 13th of 2022 and was approved at Planning Committee on March 10th and is also going to ARAC on April 7th. And as part of the High Performance Development Standard, we've included a high-level overview of incentive options with recommendations to report back in Q2 of 2023. Next slide. In the HPDS report, one of the documents includes the overview of incentives, which outlines the role incentives can play, the types of incentives that we would like to consider, financial considerations, and the next steps. Next slide. So in terms of incentive options, community improvement plans are one of them. Local improvement charges, similar to the Better Homes Loan Program, is another. Development charge refunds is another option that was used in the City of Toronto for the Toronto Green Standard. Awards and marketing is a non-financial incentive option, as well as within land sales and funding agreements. The incentive program may be a combination for the High Performance Development Standard, may be a combination of these types of incentives structured to best target the type of development that's under consideration for the project. Next slide. So preliminary steps are underway on the development of an incentive program for the High Performance Development Standard, working with staff who are leading the CIP review and the Better Homes Loan Program and the Better Buildings Ottawa program. Next steps include completing a municipal scan of incentives available, identifying regulatory barriers and opportunities, identifying funding sources, aligning with the city CIP review for Q2 of 2023, completing consultation with key stakeholders and the public, and developing the proposed incentive program for Q2 of 2023. And that's it. So.
All right, thank you so much, Becca, for that. Certainly plenty to come next term and right in 2023. We're not going to give the next term of council any time to breathe. We're going to just dive right into it with a lot of this stuff. So I appreciate that. Any questions on that? Obviously, a lot of this stuff is to be discussed as we get to it when it comes to next term. But Councillor Hubley.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to check with Becca to see if there's any update on the costs that these measures would apply to new housing in the area. At committee, we talked about it, and the range was 1 to 10%, which could put us in the $100,000, or sorry, the $10,000 to $100,000 range. So I'm just wondering if she's got any update on that.
We are working on sort of a nice outline document that will be distributed as part of the memo to council. So that's currently in draft form and should be coming shortly. So I think that's going to be the best way to be able to give a good estimate on the cost that breaks it down by different development types. It's going to vary between single family homes and commercial developments and all those types of things.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your efforts, and I hope you can understand that I'm going to dissent today until I see those numbers. Thank you.
Thanks. Now, just to be clear, we're not voting on the high performance development standards today. This is just an update on what that is and what that leads to from the motion from October. The high performance development standards will next go to Agricultural Affairs Committee on April 7th and then to Council on April 13th. But we're not voting on anything today for that.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Just
No worries.
I like to know, put it on the record that I have concerns with the impacts to cost of new housing here, and we should be looking at how we can mitigate that. So thank you.
Understood. Well, we have that memo prior to AIRAC on the 7th. I think it'd be helpful to get it at that point rather than just before council.
Yes, I expect that we will have it before April 7th.
Perfect. All right. Any other questions? Councillor Fleury, are you satisfied with that approach? You're good? Because I know it was your motion in the first place. Great. Thank you so much. All right. So on item 1, then, can we receive that referral?
Received.
Received.
Thank you. Move to item 2. Again, item 2 and 3. We don't have any delegations today. We don't have any submissions, but just important to get some updates on some of these things that are going on at the city. So item 2 is a Community Energy Innovation Fund summary report. We have Jen Brown. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm doing dual screens here, so you're getting a lot of side profile right now.
I do the same. I've got 3 screens, so you guys are all on my middle screen. Then if I look this way and that way, I'm not just evading you all. I'm looking at my screens. Same thing. So I understand you, Jen.
Thank you. I believe there's a presentation. Perfect. Thanks, Chris. So perfect. So thank you, Chair, and good morning to all members of committee. I'm here to provide a brief overview of the Community Energy Innovation Fund. Next slide, please. So I'll start off with the report recommendations. The report recommends that committee recommend that council receive the summary report for the Community Energy Innovation Fund, approve the spending plan for the $216,775 unspent funds from the Community Energy Innovation Fund, and transfer the associated budget from the funds account to Energy Evolution, and suspend the rules procedure to consider this report at its meeting of March 23rd, 2022 due to time sensitivity. Next slide, please. So the Community Energy Innovation Fund, or as we like to call it, CEIF, is a one-time $500,000 grant program for community-based projects that support the goals of energy evolution. And it ran from 2018 to 2021. Originally, the plan was for the program to end in 2020. However, due to the pandemic, some of the projects were impacted and the timelines required extensions. 8 projects in total received funding, of which 5 were completed. And the projects focus on increasing energy literacy, encouraging behavioral changes, piloting emergency technologies, and enabling innovative approaches to energy conservation and efficiency. Next slide. So I'll briefly walk you through the 5 completed projects, but you can also find more about these projects within document 1 of the staff report. So the Glebe Community Association's Environment Committee installed 11 windows with an R value of 11 at the Glebe Community Center. And this was up from a typical R value of 3 or 4. And the project significantly reduced energy consumption, increased occupant comfort, and served as a demonstration project for the community, as these were the first high-performance windows of their kind in Ottawa. I would also like to acknowledge the city's Building Engineering and Energy Management Group, who provided significant support on the project. Ottawa Community Housing installed 565 in-unit programmable thermostats in 5 of their buildings. And this was supported by a tenant engagement and outreach program on energy usage and conservation, which included lobby displays in each of the buildings to demonstrate the building's utility consumption and energy savings. And finally, the RA Center completed a feasibility study to explore options to replace the high temperature hot water district heating loop, which currently heats a portion of the RA Center. It is proposed that the existing systems will be replaced by boilers fueled by renewable natural gas. Next slide. Relay Education held 185 Kids World of Energy workshops over 2 years, 23 more workshops than originally anticipated, and in which almost 4,500 grade 5 and 6 students participated. An additional 54 renewable energy design challenges were completed, in which roughly 1,400 students also took part. And lastly, Sustainable Eastern Ontario Network created and constructed an interactive mobile display called the Energy Cube to promote sustainability, energy efficiency, and renewable energy. Further details, including a documentary about what the project entails, can be found at energycube.ca. Next slide. So key takeaways from the program. The 5 completed projects were very successful in achieving their original intent. I would say, having worked closely with many of the funding recipients, they demonstrated a high level of commitment to their projects, and in some cases, significant flexibility to pivot during the pandemic. I would also say that there are many organizations in Ottawa who want to help support achieving the vision of energy evolution, want to support achieving reducing emissions and achieving the city's GHG emission reduction targets, but they face challenges. This could include lack of dedicated staffing or volunteers, lack of experience with managing projects of this scale, lack of technical knowledge to carry out these types of projects, and or a lack of funding. I would also say that since Council approved this funding back in 2017, there's been a significant advancement in information and action regarding mitigating climate change. If we look at energy evolution, staff have since completed, since the launch of SEEF, have completed energy and emissions modeling, which identified areas for significant emission reductions. And this can include retrofitting existing residential and commercial buildings, electrifying personal vehicles, and electrifying commercial fleets. And so staff are starting to implement some of those priority projects, such as launching the Better Homes Ottawa Loan Program, which targets retrofits in residential buildings. Additionally, other levels of government, utilities, and local organizations have invested more in private action and community projects. For instance, Ottawa Climate Action Fund, which was launched in 2021, exists to catalyze and scale low carbon solutions in the community to their full potential. Next slide, please. So for those reasons, staff do not recommend continuing with a program comparable to the Community Energy Innovation Fund. Staff will continue to support working with senior levels of government, utilities, and community partners, such as those that we mentioned in the staff report, to accelerate private action and community projects. We also anticipate that any newly proposed city-led grants, loans, financing tools, incentives will be structured to support specific climate change master plan priorities, including energy evolution projects. And this would help alleviate some of the challenges intended to be addressed through SEEF, ensure that funds are aligned to achieving the climate change master plan priorities, and really target that funding to action areas with the biggest emission reductions. Next slide, please. So as mentioned at the outset, 8 projects in total received funding, of which 5 were completed. This unfortunately meant that 3 of the projects could not be completed due to outstanding circumstances. So $216,775 was returned to the city. We are, as unspent funding requires approval by committee and council to reallocate the funds to other energy efficiency projects. Approval is being sought for the proposed spending plan of unspent funds and to transfer the associated budget from the Community Energy Innovation Fund account to the Energy Evolution account. Next slide, please. So the proposed spending plan before you aligns with the intent of the Community Energy Innovation Fund. It is looking to extend one existing temporary full-time position to work on the implementation of community-facing energy evolution projects, such as the residential and commercial retrofit programs. Thermal scan technology has been found to be an innovative way of identifying energy efficiency opportunities in a building envelope. And so as part of the Better Buildings Ottawa network, staff are looking to offer subsidized thermal scans to nonprofit buildings such as social housing apartments and nonprofit office buildings, to help those buildings become more energy efficient. And we'd also be looking to develop a financing program for commercial, industrial, and multi-unit residential buildings to offer long-term fixed interest rate financing for energy retrofits of buildings. And the financing program would be tied to the property through the local improvement charge, similar to how the Better Homes Ottawa Loan program is run. In all cases, the funding is for all project-related costs, and staff have identified opportunities to leverage funding from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Green Municipal Fund. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I am joined today by Andrea Flowers to answer any questions on what's been provided. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen. We'll go straight to questions from members of committee and members of council. They're here too. Councillor McKenney.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for that presentation. I was interested in all of the projects, of course, but the thermal scans in community buildings in particular, it just seems to me that we should almost be able to identify the savings from that. And I just wonder, in the budget that you put forward, why only you considered only 50,000 to be directed to that program, and not much more, maybe 3-4 times as much. Keep it at the 500,000 and direct that kind of money to the savings that we need to see in the community.
Thank you for the question. I'm actually going to ask. Oh, Andrea, I didn't see you there. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. It's really just a question of limited funds. We're working within the previous funding envelope from this particular program, and the funding left over, which is currently unallocated, tops out at about 216,000. So to balance the priorities that we have to move collectively on all of these pieces, we've carved out 50,000. There's certainly an opportunity to do more, and we have submitted an application to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, hopefully to do more. We also, if it's the will of council, would certainly consider that in future budget pressures so that we can start to scale up this kind of work. And this kind of work and the results through this work will help inform things like the Community Improvement Program and the Better Buildings Ottawa strategy, which we're working on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wonder, so I think it was me and maybe it was myself and Chair Moffat who brought a motion, to put some of the extra gas tax funding into a revolving fund. That's something that we could see going into a program like this. Is that correct?
That is certainly possible. We're hoping that we will have a response from FCM before that report comes forward, likely in June. That's the Energy and Emissions Fund motion I think you're referring to.
Yes, yeah.
So we're hoping that we'll have a response from FCM about the Better Buildings program and the funding request we've made for that. And if we're not successful with that funding application, then certainly it would be considered as part of that Energy and Emissions Fund and or the $1 million capital closeout, which Councillor Menard brought forward.
Exactly. Okay, and just a last quick question. When do you expect any word on the FCM application?
Fortunately, that's difficult to judge. We've been told that we would have answers before now. Our current best estimate is the end of this month. So I think for safety, we'll say April. And we'll certainly keep folks abreast of the answer to that. Happy to provide an update to you, Councillor, if you're specifically interested in the outcome of that.
Yeah, I am. So yeah, I'd like to hear when you do. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks, Jen and Andrea, and thanks, Chair.
All right, thank you, Councillor Menard.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just wanted to say the projects these are being returned to top up on the position for the energy evolution implementation, the thermal scans for nonprofit buildings, and development of local improvement charge program are all welcome. They seem like good projects and make sense. I think last night at the Cafe's AGM, there was a discussion about the Climate Action Fund in Toronto and a small grant program which focuses on organizing for climate action in low-income communities. And so the equity focus of energy evolution that exists now, is there anything comparable we could offer as we phase out the Community Energy Innovation Fund? And when I say that, I mean things like, does the newly established Ottawa Climate Action Fund have an explicit focus on equity? If not, what are ways we could better support underserved communities? And then just also on the, I know it's a lot, but on the Community Environmental Projects Grant Program, we've had that for a long time, I think since 1997, and it stayed at $50,000. I think that's kind of a separate pot, but I think it was tied to inflation last year. But is that something that could serve to give similar results that we've seen with the Climate Action Fund in Toronto, which really invests in communities and gets them to do local action on their own?
I'll start. There is a lot to unpack there. If I miss anything, please ask again. On the first piece, how are we embedding equity within our current programs? Through Energy Evolution, as we develop programs, we are endeavoring to add that equity lens. We're seeing it already in the Better Homes Ottawa Loan Program in terms of offering additional services to low-income neighborhoods to support and guide the project management experience through residential retrofits. On EVs, for electric vehicles, we've specifically targeted neighborhoods which would otherwise not necessarily be considered for EV chargers. And that's been part of how we've leveraged funding in the past. And we'll continue to do that for a range of other projects. We recently compiled a list of equity considerations through our work, and would be happy to share that with you, Councillor Menard, if you're interested. In terms of the Ottawa Climate Action Fund, they do have an explicit focus on equity. They received a grant through, I believe, Environment Canada and Climate Change to establish an equity and climate inclusion leaders table. So over the last year and a half, they have been working with a number of partners, including Ecology Ottawa, Cowie, a number of others, to identify equity-seeking groups and present a series of workshops on climate issues with them. We've done a couple of presentations with them or attended a couple of their events, and we're hopeful that those perspectives will continue to inform our collective work, both internal and external. And then in terms of the Toronto example, I'm not familiar with that, but if you were to send some information on that, then we could certainly look into that. On the CPPEEGD program, I'm not able to speak to that. I wonder if Nick Stowe is on the line and would like to weigh in on that. Or perhaps Don Herwire, if he's there.
Andrea, could you repeat the question or the issue?
I can speak to it. And Andrea, that was a really good summary of what I went through. Memorized very well, thank you. But on the Community Environmental Projects Grant Program, we haven't seen an increase to the amount offered through that. I know it's remained virtually the same at $50,000 since 1997, I believe. I think it was tied to the cost of inflation in 2021. I'm wondering if this can be a vehicle for grant projects in neighborhoods that traditionally wouldn't necessarily engage on this without some assistance. And one of the ideas I wanted to bring forward conceptually to this is utilizing some of those funds to purchase LED bulbs, a simple thing that is very, very effective to reduce emissions and to reduce costs for people in their apartment buildings and their homes. And so, and just giving them to people, purchasing them through a grant program and providing them to people door to door. It's one of the most effective and easy ways you can save on costs and lower emissions. So I'm thinking of things like that in lower income communities that may not be inclined or have assistance to be able to purchase, more expensive LED bulbs that can really make a difference for our energy mix. That's just an example, but I'd love to hear more about the Community Environmental Projects Grant Program separately.
Yeah, Thank you, Councillor. We can certainly report back. I'm not certain it's the best vehicle, but we could look at options in terms of what you're suggesting. So happy to have that discussion.
Okay, I'll take it offline with you folks. I think there's ideas like that are just community-oriented ideas. I know we previously had kind of a light bulb program by another community organization. There's things like that I think we really need to start incentivizing in Ottawa a little bit more. They're not that expensive. They can be done fairly cheaply. And again, they save costs for people on the other end while lowering our emissions. So anyway, I'll take it up offline. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Andrea, for those answers. As an update, I'm on the Ottawa Climate Action Fund advisory board. At our last meeting, I had mentioned to Steve Winkleman, who is the executive director of OCAF, that he could come to this committee at some point and provide an update. I know he's reached out to me. I haven't connected with him. That's on me. But I was thinking of having him come here, just provide a presentation to our committee and speak to some of the stuff they're doing, because I think it's important, one, for OCAF to be able to have a bit of a wider net, to be able to talk and explain what they do. They're a neutral body. They're kind of like the Switzerland of climate action in Ottawa, but they're working with all parties, including the city, as a partner. And I think it's important to hear from them and for them to be able to explain some of what they do and what they're focused on. It's something that's born out of the Ottawa Community Foundation. I know Rebecca Aird has been involved quite heavily with the group as well. So, and they do have, like Andrea mentioned, the Ottawa Climate Equity Initiative. So I think that would fall right in line with what Councillor Menard was referring to. So I'm going to connect with Steve, and we'll try to see if I can fit them, should be able to, onto maybe the April agenda if they're able and willing to come to that committee. And then just for an update, provide us with a presentation on what they're working on. Okay, any other questions on this file? Seeing none. So we do have, I did say it's just an update, but it's actually more than that. So I do have a report recommendation in front of us, so that the Standing Committee on Environmental Protection, Water and Waste Management recommend that Council, 1, receive the summary report for the Community Energy Innovation Fund. 2, approve the spending plan for the $216,775,000 of unspent funds from the Community Energy Innovation Fund and transfer the associated budget from the CEIF account to Energy Evolution. And 3, suspend the rules of procedure to consider this report at its meeting of March 23rd, 2022, aka tomorrow, due to time sensitivity. On that report, is that carried?
Carried.
Carried.
Great, thank you. So now we move on to another update on an important project in the city, the Rain Ready Ottawa program, and just propose some proposed revisions to the grants program. Apparently, it's been incredibly successful, and we need to manage that. So Simon Greenland Smith, I see, is here, I think, to talk to us about this.
Thank you, Chair. Can everyone hear me okay?
We can hear you, yeah, and the presentation's up on the screen.
I appreciate the posting of the presentation. Good morning, Chair and Councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. My name is Simon Greenland Smith, and I'm an Outreach and Communications Coordinator in the Climate Change and Resiliency section of PRED. I also have the privilege of coordinating Rain Ready Ottawa, our city's rainwater management program for residential private property. This report proposes a small adjustment to Rain Ready Ottawa that contributes to improving our delivery of the program for residents. Next slide, please. In today's presentation, I'll give a short overview of Rain Ready Ottawa's program structure, a review of how residents are eligible for the program elements, and I'll address a problem that has arisen in the first year of delivery, and I'll also go over our proposed solution. Next slide, please. Rain Ready Ottawa is a 3-year pilot that aims to help residents take action on private property to improve stormwater management in Ottawa. Our work arises from and is informed by the Ottawa River Action Plan and the stormwater retrofit plans from the Pinecrest Creek and Westboro area, as well as the eastern subwatersheds. Both of these reports found that managing rainwater where it lands is an important part of the city's plan to manage stormwater, and that private actions can make a significant contribution to this goal. Next slide, please. Rain Ready Ottawa has 4 main elements: an industry training and certification program that builds industry capacity to reach long-term targets, a home assessment program that puts customized advice into the hands of residents, a community engagement program designed to increase uptake in priority neighborhoods, and a grants and contributions program that seeks to reduce financial barriers that many residents face. The eligibility for the home assessment program and rebates are limited to certain areas of Ottawa. Next slide, please. The program is targeted to meet the goals of the 2 stormwater management retrofit plans. Homeowners in priority areas, these are the dark gray areas in the map posted, are eligible for financial incentives. Homeowners in all retrofit areas, that's the light gray and the dark gray, but not the hatched part, which is the green belt, can request a free home consultation to provide professional advice on solutions for their specific property. Residents in all areas of the city benefit from educational materials and access to certified landscape professionals, as well as some of the community engagement initiatives that we have undertaken. Next slide, please. In the first year of operation, Rain Ready Ottawa delivered successful training sessions to landscape professionals. We installed a demonstration rain garden, and we approved 22 applications worth about $75,000 in rebates. Although we have only seen 22 applications to date, this is not out of the ordinary for the first year of a program, and we expect the number of applications approved to dramatically increase in 2022 as residents get around to applying for rebates after having home assessments completed in late 2021, which was an abbreviated season as we got the program off the ground. Next slide, please. I'd like to focus in on the home assessment program for a second. The home assessment program is very popular. We delivered 116 home assessments in the first year of operation, and the waiting list for home assessments now exceeds 650. The purpose of the report before you today is to address this backlog through the use of an e-learning program that teaches the same concepts as the home assessment program. It will also allow residents to become eligible for Rain Ready Ottawa rebates. We anticipate that many residents on the waiting list, currently on the waiting list for home assessments, will be enthusiastic about the e-learning program and take themselves off the waiting list in order to become eligible for rebates in a quicker way. Next slide. E-learning provides a self-guided opportunity for residents, which adds flexibility to the education and outreach opportunity. 4 courses will be offered, including a required program intro and overview course, and optional courses for each of the practices that can be completed by residents without the help of a certified professional. Courses will launch in late spring and are being created by staff. Course enrollment is free for residents regardless of where they live in Ottawa, but an Ottawa address will be required for enrollment. No new budget is required to support the e-learning program. Next slide, please. The report before you recommends adding the planned e-learning courses as an eligibility criterion to become eligible for Rain Ready Ottawa rebates. The e-learning courses can contribute to the eligibility of residents, easing the pressures on more expensive to deliver program elements such as the home assessment program. This adjustment to the eligibility criteria for Rain Ready Ottawa rebates requires the consideration and approval of council per the grants and contributions policy and procedure. Next slide, please. In summary, the changes proposed in the report add the completion of e-learning courses as an eligibility requirement for Rain Ready Ottawa rebates. This will result in 3 ways to become eligible. The program as it exists today offers 2 ways, and a 3rd way will help us address the home assessment backlog and expedite eligibility for rebates, which will improve service to residents. Next slide, please. Here, I'd just like to thank you for your time. I'm joined by Julia Robinson and Jen Nielsen to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Simon. And one question, at least to start, from Councillor Eglai, who not more than 50 minutes ago was running his tap water. And
very briefly,
again.
to make a point, very briefly.
I caught that. It was a good point.
So a couple of things. First of all, my ward was the recipient of the demo rain garden, and it's been very well received, and a lot of community interest in setting it up and maintaining it. So thank you to the team for helping that to happen. One of the concerns that I've heard from residents is the assessments are great. Lots of valuable information being shared, lots of good ideas as to how to improve a person's property. But another bottleneck seems to be in finding accredited contractors to do the work. So I'm hearing from people, we had the assessment, got some great ideas, we went to market, we can't find anybody who's actually qualified to do the work. So I'm wondering if I'm just hearing that, or if that's something you're hearing as well in a more general way, and if there's been any thought as to how to bring more contractors on board so that people can go more quickly from assessment to work being done.
Thanks for the question, Councillor. Yes, so we have a certification and training program called Fusion Landscape Professional. And so for residents who want to hire a landscape professional to help them with their project and become eligible for rebates, they have to choose a Fusion Landscape Professional. We imported that program from Peel and York regions, and we started delivering it here in Ottawa. In the first year, we trained up 9 companies that can now deliver service on behalf of residents. And in the second year, we delivered the training again, and I believe there will be 6 additional companies that will be able to help residents out with their requests. We plan on doing this at least next year, and then beyond the pilot period, potentially into the future. We think this is a great way to build capacity. It just takes some time. We have capacity to deliver the training once per year, and we can deliver it to about 20 professionals at a time.
Okay, no, and I appreciate that we have that program. And is there a way to make the list of, as you keep adding to it, right? Is there a way to make that more accessible to residents so they know exactly where they should be looking?
The list is available at the Fusion Landscape Professional website, which our website, ottawa.ca/rain, refers to. So we don't list the companies individually, but we do list the certification, and we do what we can to promote that. But we do.
So there is a link on our site that will send people to the Fusion site.
Yep, there is.
Okay, all right. I will share that with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kavanagh.
Thank you very much, Chair. This is a great program, and I hope we have the capacity. My concern is that was pretty booked up for the assessments, and I just hope that we're not a victim of our own success and that we can keep up with it. Are we looking to hire more people to do the home assessments? Because obviously they're time consuming, and that's another backlog issue. I was at the McKellar Park meeting, and I certainly would like to see more of them in my area because it's right on the Pinecrest Creek area. So just want to make sure that we can handle the popularity.
Thank you, Councillor. In a way, we are a victim of our own success here, but this is really good news. Both in the first year and now in our second year of delivery, we've added home assessment slots. So we provided more home assessments than we initially planned. So that's one way that we're responding to the backlog and the popularity of the home assessment program. But the second, and we think this is an important way, is to add the self-guided option of the e-learning program so that residents who want to get eligible for rebates as quickly as possible can take a little time on their weekend, go through it at their pace, and learn all that they need to know and become eligible at the same time. We were a bit limited in how many home assessments we can deliver because they are expensive to deliver, but we believe that the advice that they're giving is very important for residents. So we think that maintaining the home assessment program while adding the e-learning and the self-guided option complement each other nicely and will provide really excellent service to residents.
That's great. I hope to have more sessions. The other thing I think is good to emphasize is just what it does in terms of the environment because with living near the river, making sure people understand that means less of that stormwater going into the river when people, when we soak up the water. And I think it's important for people to realize that that's part of it. And also the other tie-in is with the ditch program, which is an important program as well. So I don't know if there's any coordination with there, but we have whole neighborhoods with ditches. I'm sure Councillor Edelai knows what I'm talking about. He has it as well. So just to emphasize those areas which have major problems with drainage. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And now on to our Vice Chair, Sean Menard.
Thank you very much, Chair. Great success in this program. It's really nice to see. Congratulations, and happy that this is happening. I wanted to ask about the potential extension of the grant portion of the program. I wonder what the current thinking is there in terms of the expansion. Presumably a larger than anticipated update in assessments will result in larger than anticipated demand for retrofit incentives. I just love staff thinking on the extension into the future of this.
Thank you very much for the question. We have been thinking about that, and we estimate that our capacity to deliver on the rebates as a result from the increased number of home assessment, we think that is balanced out nicely. Part of the purpose of the pilot program is to see how these promotional elements and the eligibility elements contribute to the end number of rebates. So I think we're in our second year. I think we're going to learn a lot this year about how many people who get home assessments end up applying for rebates. So we look forward to learning that. And then we will be coming back to council at the end of 2022 with a report and some recommendations for the future. But I think this is going to be a key time period to make sure that we're learning as much as we can about how this program sort of plays out.
Great, thank you so much, and congratulations again. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, and thank you, Simon, for your work on this. Appreciate the time taken today to update us. And we do have a recommendation in front of us, so that the Standing Committee on Environmental Protection, Water and Waste Management recommend Council approve the changes to the Rain Ready Ottawa pilot program as described in this report. Is that item carried?
Great.
Great. Thank you so much. So we already approved number 4, and we will move then to item 5, which is the notice that was, the motion that notice was previously given back in 2021 for phasing out the use of city-operated gas-powered lawn and yard equipment. And I know Councillor King has worked with staff on this, and staff are amenable to this motion that's in front of us. I will turn to Councillor King to speak to it at this point.
Thank you, Chair. And literally the morning after, when I reflect upon this, the morning after I was elected in April 2019, on my way to be sworn in as a new councillor, I attended a rally at City Hall in support of the declaration of a municipal climate emergency for that declaration, and working with residents to identify and address gaps in our policies to accelerate the city's emission targets has really been a key priority for my office ever since that first day. This motion is a result of resident advocacy And I appreciate the support of staff in many discussions and the research that was needed to eliminate the use of gas-powered lawn equipment by the City of Ottawa. Another excellent example of resident advocacy that staff is transforming into action also includes discussions that my office is having and has held with both ward residents and staff concerning city policies and bylaws governing gardening and intentional naturalization activities in the city right of way. Both my office and city staff have noted an increase in requests from residents looking to plant or maintain areas in city right of way in a more sustainable manner, which include pollinator gardens as well as native plant species. I had originally intended to bring forward direction for staff on this subject today here at Environment Committee, but after discussion with staff, we determined that the initiative is better suited for Transportation Committee. So I just really am mentioning this because I wanted to recognize the time and effort that staff have dedicated to that file over the last number of weeks. But to return to this motion and to highlight why I'm requesting the elimination of this equipment, it's really important because small off-road engines, which are used primarily in lawn and garden equipment, emit high levels of air pollutants, including oxides of nitrogen, reactive organic gases, and particulate matter. Scientific research has determined that operating a single commercial gas-powered leaf blower for 1 hour, and I think that you pointed this out, Scott, at the last meeting from looking at some of the research that was available. Just operating one single commercial gas-powered leaf blower for 1 hour can emit as much nitrogen oxide and reactive organic gas emissions as driving over 1,700 kilometers in a new passenger vehicle. Nitrogen oxide and reactive organic gases together contribute to a form of ozone, a critical pollutant that affects ambient air quality, and these emissions also contribute to the formation of particulate matter, which along with directly emitted particulate matter has direct negative health impacts. It therefore makes sense for the city to adopt zero emission equivalents to all small off-road engine equipment as quickly as possible. The battery technology required for commercial grade zero emission equipment is rapidly becoming available, and users such as the National Capital Commission have already indicated their intention to transition to zero emission equipment. It is therefore the intent of this motion to harmonize the city's efforts with those of the National Capital Commission to eliminate the use of gas-powered lawn equipment to quickly and effectively promote public health and to protect, ultimately, public health from the harmful effects of emissions of small off-road engines. The city and the NCC combined maintain a massive amount of green space within the City of Ottawa. This motion works to improve expectations from our communities and lays the groundwork for a broad removal of this equipment from our neighborhoods, as other municipalities have done or are in the process of accomplishing. Ottawa is known for its beautiful green spaces, but maintaining them should not come at the cost of the health of our community. That is why I'm asking for your support to accelerate city efforts to transition away from this outdated, harmful technology as quickly as possible. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. I will just ask for staff comments on it, since I know, like I said, I know they're supportive. I think they were working toward something similar. So I know Allison Downs is here. Just comment on staff's position on this and their work with the councillor on it.
Yes, we are supportive of the motion and actually quite excited to get the pilot started and get the testing started and develop a departmental green plan to transition to the electric equipment. So thank you very much for supporting or for bringing the motion.
Great, thank you, Allison. So we will go to members of committee. Councillor Menard.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you to Councillor King for bringing this forward and getting the issue on the agenda. Makes a lot of sense. I'm wondering if staff can just talk about the application of this. It will start this summer with a report back in Q4 of 2022. And it's my understanding is it would apply to the Public Works and Environmental Services Department. Is it also going to apply to other departments, rec, culture, facilities, infrastructure, and water services? Can you just clarify if that's the case, or if it's just the Public Works and Environmental Services Department?
Thank you for that question. I can say that Public Works has been in contact with other departments about this, and we do believe that the majority of the equipment, the small yard and lawn equipment, is in Public Works. The way we're designing the pilot, though, will allow us to share our findings with other departments, and they'll be able to leverage those to develop their own transition plans where they see necessary or that they have the similar equipment.
Okay, I mean, if there's not a lot of this type of yard equipment in the other departments, is it not possible to just do it across the board?
I can't speak for my partner departments, but I do believe that some of them are here. I know water services is, infrastructure and water services is here, and I see RCFS as well.
Chair, I can speak for RCFS. As part of this, we've done an inventory. We have about 224 pieces of equipment that would fall in the category that you're describing: leaf blowers, lawnmowers, that kind of thing, mostly facility-based to provide maintenance in and around facilities. Some of our equipment we've already converted to electric. Some councillors will know that the edge trimmers in arenas, for example, have all been converted to electric, and it is our plan to participate in this and to be part of the initiative. Even though we have certainly less equipment than Public Works, we still believe that it's a good initiative and that we should participate in it.
Okay, thank you for that. I mean, I think quick transition would be helpful here. It's been proven in lots of other municipalities, lots of other places. What's the practical element of this? So how's it going to work? Are we purchasing a bunch of new equipment? Do we have a lot of this equipment already and can start to enact them? How does the phase out of the old equipment work? Where does it go? Just the practicalities of how it'll be implemented.
So year one, thank you for the question. Year one is really piloting with various crews in parks and roads and parking services. And then we will be able to learn more about how it matches our operational requirements and how our departmental green plan will actually spell out more clearly how fast we can transition, and that we expect to be able to report back at the end of this year.
Okay, so you're purchasing some equipment now?
Yes.
You have that funding to be able to do that within your budget envelope to do that?
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. Other cities have a ban, not just for the organization, but for the population writ large. And I wonder, obviously, this would be maybe the precipice of that. I just wonder, in staff's view, in terms of moving in that direction, as some other cities have done, will your report that comes back speak to a citywide potential phase out, or will it just be focused only on the corporate organization side?
Thank you for that question. To date, the way that we were addressing the motion was to respond back with a departmental green plan. So it was really focused on the Public Works Department.
Okay, I understand that. I think, Chair, if it's okay, if I give direction on that we include in that report some more information about what this might look like citywide when it comes back, so that we can see other cities that have done this, what that would entail in terms of bylaw. I think that would help, just given the direction we're going. I obviously support the motion and Councillor King's efforts here. I think it'd be helpful for us, just for next term of council, to know what it would entail if we're looking at more of a citywide change. So I hope I can give that direction here today if staff will take that direction.
Yeah, Alison, was that in line with what you were thinking to come back with?
Thank you. We're definitely doing a best practice review, and we can add to that research around citywide bans, if that answers the question, Chair.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks so much, Chair. Just in terms of the report back in Q4 of 2022, that would be really helpful. So thank you.
Thanks. This committee might not meet in Q4 2022, but so it might be the first meeting of 2023, just because of the election. I had a request. Just I know because there's other department heads and there's other folks here. Dave Maschke, who is the Deputy Chief of Training and Safety with Ottawa Fire Services, I know he wanted to jump in. So go ahead, Dave.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Certainly, we're looking at this proposal and I'm very interested to see what comes out of this pilot project for our service. Just an awareness piece. Our service has close to 300 of these devices that we use for emergency work on a daily basis. So, which most of right now there isn't alternatives available for that emergency work. So. We continue to look at alternatives to these devices for our service, but as they come online, but right now there aren't a lot of options available for us due to capacity and power limitations with the new devices. So just an awareness piece there for committee.
Are you specifically referring to leaf blowers or gas powered equipment in general?
Gas powered equipment in general, the two-stroke powered equipment in general.
Okay, I appreciate that. I mean, obviously that's good information for when this moves forward and considering all aspects of it. I know in California has implemented a ban of the sale of all gas powered equipment starting in 2024. Now that's not the use of it, that's the sale of it. But I also know that some of the companies, Makita, for instance, is actually planning to transition completely away from gas powered equipment, just as a corporate initiative. So no different than what we're hearing from Chevrolet and Ford on the vehicle side. So, the question would be, who gets there first? Is it government or is it market as to who leads that change? But it is coming, and it will evolve. So it is important that we have the similar replacement equipment especially for groups like Ottawa Fire, to make sure they can continue doing their job. And good work by Ottawa Fire yesterday. I tweeted out something saving two people who went out to rescue a dog on the Ottawa River in Manotick, and the whole video is captured. It's quite impressive of the Ottawa Fire jumping in and saving the two people that were latched onto an ice ledge, and then going out and saving the dog as well, who was headed towards the dam at Watson's Mill. So appreciate the efforts there for sure.
Certainly a dangerous time of the year. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. We'll move on to Councillor Kavanaugh.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank Councillor King for this initiative. It's great timing. I had received concerns from residents as well about two-stroke engines being used. It just seems so ironic when we're trying to do so many other measures that this was something that we should target. So I really, really appreciate it. I think it's long overdue, and I appreciate the cooperation from staff in getting to those goals. In terms of parks in general, is it going to cause another look? I guess this is a question for the manager of how we maintain our parks. Like, is it necessary to be grooming to a certain level? Is it are we taking another look at how we maintain parks? Is this going to have a domino effect on that?
We do have maintenance quality standards by which we have to maintain our parks. And so there isn't an intention to change those standards by using the electric equipment. We are hoping that the electric equipment will satisfy our needs. The first step in this pilot is the small equipment. We are also doing an inventory of our other equipment, such as mowers and other equipment as well. And hopefully that will also be part of our transition plan. But that is a very good question. Thank you for that. Because we hadn't planned on looking at reviewing the maintenance quality standards as compared to the electric equipment.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes it's thought that we overdo it, maybe, and that and the other aspect that annoys people is the noise pollution as well. I'm not an expert on the changeover, but is that going to be reduced as well when you have electric? Is it less noisy?
Thank you for the question. That's what the research says, and certainly that will be one piece of our criteria.
Okay, I think that would be helpful as well. And I know Councillor Menard's already mentioned about just the general population. I think anybody who has somebody on the street using one of those pieces of equipment, they certainly know it if it's and so noise pollution is a factor as well. So I appreciate it, though. It's obviously the air pollution factor is big. So when I think about next steps for the public, it's hard to get people to change habits, but I like the idea of banning the sale of them, because that will prevent people from keep getting new ones. It's hard to get people to give up old things, but eventually we can phase them out. So hopefully we can work with the levels of government on that, because I think that's a benefit to everybody. So perhaps that requires a letter to the level, which would it be federal or provincial that would be responsible for the phase out of, it was mentioned by the chair that is being done in California, but here, would that be a provincial?
I'm not sure. I have to get back to you on that. Obviously, governors have a whole different array of powers than provincial premiers do in this country. So I'd have to get back to you on that as to where the right avenue for that would be.
I think it would be a good idea for us to push for that, and certainly through our partnerships with AMO and FCM to discuss that, so that it's uniform, that we're not just doing it here, because I think we're onto something that is really important in terms of saving our environment. And thanks again to Councillor King and staff on their work on this. Thank you.
Maybe while the province is banning R1, they can ban these things too, right? Wait, that's a different story. That's something else. Sorry, I'm getting off track. Councillor Fleury.
Mr. Chair, you're like this morning. You're wide awake. Allison and city team, as we've heard from Ottawa Fire Services, and I appreciate their proactive presence today and speaking on the matter. I wonder how comprehensive we are as a city, because there's forestry, there's parks, there's public works, there's a bunch of, it's not just facilities, and I appreciate Allison, you and Dan's presence and speaking. I wonder how does this effort breathe across the organization, including through procurement? Could you maybe share a bit more context to that for us?
So thank you for the question, Chair. I'm here speaking on behalf of Public Works. So that includes Parks and Forestry is my service area. And I'm also working with Quentin Levesque for roads and parking services, so roads, specifically road maintenance. So I can say that we are doing an inventory of our small equipment across Public Works and understanding what it is we have, similar to what EPS did, understanding what it is we have, and testing. Like the first pilot will be lawn and yard equipment, but we're not going to stop there. We want to understand what the pilot results give us in terms of battery power and ability to meet our maintenance quality standards, noise pollution, some other things as well. The criteria that we're testing hasn't actually been spelled out yet, but those are the type of things we're looking at. And then we're going to understand what our inventory is and how can we transition so that actually everything will eventually be included. To your point with respect to forestry has started to use some electric equipment, but really their equipment, chainsaws and such, the industry just isn't quite there yet. But we do forestry will keep an eye on that, and because our plan is to make the change when operationally feasible. We're thinking that in parks with the small yard and lawn equipment, we're very hopeful that the technology is there, but we'll know more when we do pilot. And then, like I said, we will be sharing our results. So our operational results with our partners. So with facilities, for example, if they're using similar equipment, and if our use required 5 hours for blowers, I'm not so sure what the function requirement is at facilities, but our testing they should be able to leverage our testing of the equipment in the other service areas. Does that answer your question?
It certainly does, and I can appreciate how every service point needs to be notified and expressed. I think ultimately there are sort of 2-3 groups that have indirect power over this, right? There's the procurement team, there's the finance team. So it's also important to equip those groups in validating those objectives, right? Before approving POs and before approving invoices, of also ensuring that we have this transformative review underway, and that the right checks and balances were accounted for prior to making a purchase or future purchases. And I would ask, this is again kind of a further direction to the motion, would be, to me, it's not an XY table. It's actually almost like a cubic reflection, which is, it's not just about inventory and its availability to electrify. It's also, prioritization of that. And for me, I know Councillor King's motion today is important, and many councillors agree to it. But we have to understand which elements are most important. If we are using propane or other fuels indoors, and I make mention to the arenas specifically because I'm extremely concerned by the ongoing risk in our arenas, we have to prioritize as well where our attention and efforts are. The other point is we have to be careful of, as an organization, adopting a technology that will set us up for failure. And I will refer to a parallel matter. I hate in this organization the constant reference that I hear about hybrid buses. Oh, do you remember those hybrid buses? They failed us. Well, hybrid technology has continued to evolve while our thinking has remained that the hybrid system has failed us. So I hope that, yes, we're early adopters, but if there's lessons learned from those adoptions, that we also don't embed those challenges within the organization. I recognize I'm speaking more of frustration of some of the earlier practices, but I hope that going forward, we can learn from that within the organization and not just rest on challenges we face with technology that was at that time and has continued to evolve.
Mr. Chair, if I may chime in, Water
Absolutely.
Services is fully supportive of the motion, and we will be working very closely with Ali Downs and her team on implementing green technology and green equipment within Water Services. So you have our commitment on that as well.
Great. Thank you, Marilyn. Moving on to Councillor DeRuse.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a very interesting conversation, and I do understand where Councillor King is coming from, and I do respect the motion. I have a few questions to staff. One of is, do we have a price tag on our pilot? I know that this is a pilot, but at least do we have an idea how much this is going to cost, or how many equipment we're phasing?
Thank you for the question, Chair. The pilot is, we're going to pilot 3 or 4 crews. We're piloting blowers, trimmers, and small chainsaws, so string trimmers and hedge trimmers for each crew. And the cost is in around the 40 to 50,000 range. Like, we haven't purchased it yet. We put it on an RFQ, request for quote. So it's, I think it might be closed in Merck's. The interesting thing is it's the batteries that are the significant cost. So it is an upfront capital cost because of we can't just buy one battery.
Thank you, Alison. This is what I'm trying to get on to. Mr. Chair, myself, I have in rural area, people have acres of land that we clean, and we understand our frustration with battery equipment. We buy those always from Home Depot, and you buy them from our dealership locally, and there is problem. There is issues with time from staff perspective. There is battery challenges. I don't think the industry is there, and we can challenge on that. We can talk as much as you want, but from a personal perspective, you can look at the still lineup. You can look at Husqvarna. They only switched to battery in 2017. And when you send the crew to do a job, we heard from the fire department that, yeah, when they're cutting a roof of a car, you need a reliable equipment. And unfortunately, the 2-stroke equipment that we have right now, if you want to replace them all with battery, first of all, kindly, you won't be able. So we have to be careful what we ask our staff and what we're looking for. If you're looking on a small park in the downtown core, sure, yeah, that's fine. But if you take if you take an acre or half-acre and a half in state lot in rural area, start talking about phasing gas versus battery, you're not saving anything. You're actually creating more problem by buying a battery and disposing batteries. And when you send the crew to do the road, you know the ditches, Mr. Chair. You live in rural area, and you know how much deep those ditches and how long the grass grow on them. If it's wet, if it's there is a climate problem. If the grass is wet, it's harder to cut than when it's dry. There is a torque on the equipment. There is so many things we're not looking at. And you send the crew out to the road to start cutting grass. If they have a gas equipment, at least they can work on them. Some of our staff, they are well equipped. They've been using those equipment for many 40, 50 years. At least they can fix them. They can keep going and moving forward, finishing the job. But when the battery died, you're not going to equip cars with generator to start charging batteries while you're on the go. So I do understand, and I really appreciate the concept, and I do understand the enthusiastic of Councillor King, and I really support you if there is really technology or there is something we can move forward with. But I think we're still in the early. If you want to do pilot on a small park in the downtown core, yeah, go for it. But for us to start spending money and costing staff time, and from health and safety perspective, you need to carry how many battery pack to do the job that gas trimmer does. Mr. Chair, we don't have the data. We don't have enough information to make decision. So I from this perspective, I cannot vote on this matter, and I will be dissenting. Thank you.
Thanks. Now, to be clear, the motion in front of us is that Public Works and Environment Services Department commit to phasing out the use of gas-powered lawn and yard equipment. It's not a public safety issue at this point. I mean, obviously, when it comes to what we heard from Auto Fire Services, those types of things are going to be taken into consideration. I don't see any scenario in which staff are going to come to council with a recommendation that puts people at risk from a transition perspective. I mean, we're doing a lot of this stuff. This is a motion in front of us to talk about doing this one specific thing quicker than maybe we would have otherwise. But don't make the mistake that we wouldn't have done it otherwise. And I mean, if you look at our climate change master plan, you look at what we are already doing from a gas-powered vehicle perspective. Our fleet, we're working on a fleet plan to transition our phase in as we pull out old vehicles. We're replacing them with EVs. Obviously, we're not going to do this at the risk of having someone get stranded somewhere. You're going to do it, logically and methodically as you move forward to make sure that we meet the targets that this council has approved in terms of hitting our corporate targets by 2030 and 2040. So I don't think this is a matter of screwing over any staff to make their jobs more difficult. I think staff are leading this charge and are going to make sound decisions while also respecting that we've set targets to achieve from a GHG emissions reduction perspective.
I'm not challenging you, Chair. I'm just saying this is the equipment and what we have. You're talking about technology in cars and all this perspective. I understand they are there. They've been working on them for a long time. What I'm saying from technology in what we have for small equipment, it's not there yet. It's going to be there, that's for sure. And I agree with you, who's going to pick it up first, which market and which manufacturer, but I don't think it's there yet. And that's from personal experience. And that's what I'm trying to bring to this committee, because I bought a blower, electric battery operated blowers, a trimmer. Scott, I can't even finish my yard. And this is from personal experience, and I'm not buying cheap stuff. That's all what I'm saying. I have a guy from Manatic hired him last year to do my hedges, and the guy really cared about the environment, and he came with hedge trimmer with batteries. He couldn't finish half of it. He has to come back next day, and next day it was rain. So he was explaining to me the challenge. I am not against it. All what I'm saying from perspective, he had to pull back his gas hedge trimmer and finish the job. So I'm giving you some kind of perspective on what's really happening, because we're spending taxpayer money here and we're trying to share our experience. And I'm not against the idea of phasing that. Tell me what it is and I'll be first one to go implement it. But I'm just sharing my personal experience with my colleague.
Understood. All right, thank you. Any other questions for staff or any other comments on this? I don't know, Councillor King, if you want to wrap up, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you, Chair. And I would just briefly say that obviously the technologies are evolving. We're seeing an increasing number of manufacturers who are really providing this new zero emission equipment. And if we are very serious about reaching our climate targets, our emission targets, we really need to start examining and start using this technology. We know that electric lawn mowers are now starting to really rival the power of gas mowers. They also add and provide an added convenience of quieter operation, which we saw reflected in some of the comments by other councillors who have intervened today. Along, and this is very important, along with a lack of noxious fumes. And other benefits, noted benefits include less maintenance, the fact that they are easier to maneuver, the fact that they are less expensive to operate. And as I said, we are now seeing manufacturers really shifting to this technology. So I definitely support this. I support the additional directions as well to examine the perspective of community members and to reflect the perspective of community members who are asking to see a change in terms of greener technologies being utilized for these functions. So once again, I thank you for the opportunity to introduce this motion, and I thank staff for all the hard work that they've done in terms of research and working in conjunction with the National Capital Commission as well, so that we can coordinate our efforts to ensure greener maintenance of our green spaces. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So I did just ask Councillor King to provide a closing comment before we go to the motion, but Councillor Hubel, you did put your hand up during that time. So do you have something brief to add or question?
If I may, Chair, I think it might help. I want to say that I share Councillor DeRusa's concerns with where the technology is at. I certainly support the effort that what we're trying to do. I personally went out and purchased what I believe is a high-end electric mower and had the same experience as Councillor DeRuse. And what I had to do was go buy extra batteries so that I would be able to do my yard with it. And I don't have a big yard to do. So my concern with that is, yes, batteries will be evolving, and at one point it'll come to the place and time where I'll be able to do a whole yard with one battery. But I worry about what this does to our staff and their productivity, because we know they're very busy and that it takes a lot of time to get through each park, and we have a lot of parks to do. So what's the staff plan here in this transition? Will they, buy a warehouse full of batteries and have them all charged all the time so that everybody can get a full 8-hour shift in for working? Or will we get to a situation where staff have to sit and find something else to do while they wait for the batteries to become available? I'd like to hear about that before I cast my vote.
Yeah, so if I could just, Allison is obviously on to respond, but if I could just again remind members of the report recommendation in front of us. It is to commit to phasing out the use of gas-powered lawn and yard equipment when said equipment requires replacement and electric alternative is available that meets operational needs within both city-owned and contracted services. So this is not about asking staff to take a step back and stop providing the service they've been providing. This is, as equipment is available that allows them to continue doing the job that they've been doing, we transition them to this equipment. And that this is why Allison has been speaking about a pilot project to try out 3 or 4 crews this summer and to come back to this committee and report on how that went, so that any concerns that we might have right now can be addressed and can be either validated or confirmed to not have been a concern. And that's the intent of what's going to happen this summer with Allison reporting back to us, likely sometime early next year. Allison, I don't know if you had anything to add to what I just said.
Thank you, Chair. No, I think you summarized it well. This is what we're concentrating on this season, which will be from May until the fall, is a pilot, and we're hoping that the batteries the technology is there, but we are not going to jeopardize our MQS. Or anything else at this time. And I would just like to say we're concentrated on, at this point in time, small or yard and lawn equipment. So mowers would be phase 2.
That's great answers, Chair. I'm happy with that.
Okay, thank you. So appreciate that conversation. I'm always remember when I heard about this in the first place, and I heard the information about the car kilometers traveled. It's so wild. I remember back to a video of eight folks walking through, I think Centertown, I think it was, with the leaf blowers around a building. And I think those eight guys could have jumped into a Honda Odyssey, driven up to Thunder Bay, grabbed a box of Persians, and come all the way back, and had a smaller carbon footprint than the work that they were doing with the leaf blowers walking around downtown. It's a fascinating thing with those leaf blowers. I don't know. Anyway, so on this report in front of us, so that the Standing Committee on Environment Protection, Water and Waste Management recommend Council approve 1, let's probably read this for the 3rd time, that the Public Works Environment Services Department commit to phasing out the use of gas-powered lawn and yard equipment when said equipment requires replacement and electric alternative is available that meets the operational needs within both city-owned and contract services. And 2, that phasing out activity begin as quickly as possible, starting with summer operations planning in Q1 2022, which ends in like 8 days, and report back to the Standing Committee on Environment Protection, Water and Waste Management as part of a departmental green equipment plan in Q4 2022, recognizing that that might be Q1 2023, just to be realistic. All right, on that report.
Carried.
You still want to dissent, Councillor?
I'm dissenting, Mr. Chair.
No worries, so just recorded dissent from Councillor Drews.
You can record my dissent to Scott.
No worries, so dissent from Councillor Hubley as well. All right, thank you, members of committee. So we go back up in my agenda to in-camera items. There are none. In information previously distributed, so we have 3 reports that have been brought to us. Well, one's not really a report. So annual drinking water source protection status update for 2021. C was the response plan for spongy moths, aka LDD moths, aka something we no longer call them anymore. And then B was the mayoral letters sent to senior levels of government on climate issues. So we would have been circulated a while back on a series of letters that were sent to various departments, including the Ontario Ministry of Energy, Ontario Ministry of Housing and Municipal Affairs, the Ontario Ministry of Transportation, the Ontario Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, and then the Federal Ministries of Environment, Climate Change, Natural Resources, as well as Intergovernmental Affairs, Infrastructure, and Communities. So that is the other information previously distributed, which, as it explains in the IPD acronym, we've already received it. Councillor King.
I just thank you, Chair. I just really wanted to take an opportunity to really thank staff for the comprehensive report on the moth response and for their efforts to work directly with communities affected. As you might know, Rita Rockcliffe Ward 13 has definitely felt the pain of the infestation, and residents are really hungry for resources to really keep the moths at bay. So I just had a quick question, if you would permit me, of staff. On the topic of community outreach tools, I was just wondering if staff could inform us when we could expect more information on either the potential online reporting tool or the training activities.
We have Tracy Schwetz here. Go ahead, Tracy.
Thank you. So the burlap distribution will happen this spring. We've got our list of community groups that we'll be reaching out to in the coming week with if they're wanting to participate in our burlap distribution program. The online reporting tool will be up this spring, so we'll be able to get information from residents and community groups of where they're seeing spongy moth in their communities, and that will help us in our monitoring program. So we're doing egg mass surveys citywide, but really local on the ground. It will help us to know where people are seeing spongy moth this summer. We'll be looking at different types of training that we could do, possibly doing some egg mass scraping training next fall and winter. There's different opportunities that we can take to do that with community groups as well.
I really want to thank you for all the efforts that you're undertaking on this in terms of the response to the inquiry. And I know that residents and community associations will be appreciative community organizations in terms of obtaining those resources. They had been asking for resources in the last season. Of course, we didn't have a program in place, and now there's a program in place. So I'm very thankful for that. And I thank you for the outreach to my office in terms of asking which groups to really engage in outreach. So thank you for all your efforts, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. And councillors will know that we received that response plan. It's actually quite comprehensive, and it's very good for anyone who's, I think there's a number of wards that are heavily impacted by these moths. I'm not sure where the name Spongy came from. It's almost an anagram for the previous name, but anyway, there's a couple letters missing. But all right. Thank you, staff. Thank you, Tracy, for that response and for the response plan as well. So nothing further on that. Notice of motion. We already did that because I stole Councillor Cloutier's notice of motion from later and moved it up earlier. So just trying to be effective and not waste time, because I'm all about not wasting time. I mean, it's a rare occasion where I go off on some tangent in this committee and just start talking ad nauseum and wasting time. I don't do that. And I really think it's important that we just don't waste time at this committee and we move on and start talking about other things. All right. Inquiries? None. Other business? None. Adjournment. Our next meeting is, I assume you guys are all good with adjournment. No one said anything. You're all on mute. So, I mean, for all I know, you all. Okay, good. Our next meeting is Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. Thank you and happy World Water Day. Even if you live in the rural area and you drink beautifully delicious well water, enjoy that too.
Thank you all.
Have a good day, everyone.